Welcome to the podcast. It's the best podcast in the world. This is going to end up on the show. I know it, motherfucker.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to episode 102 of Epitome of Stupidity, your favorite allegedly metal podcast. Today's intro and outro tune is Renegade by the ever-ascending Hippotraktor. One of those three, probably, maybe. Who knows? As of last Friday, the 7th of June, 2024, the year of our Lord, they have 2 albums full of awesomeness out there for your ears and all the rest of your senses, too. Their newest album is called Stasis, and it is fucking good. But more on them shortly, as per usual. If you're new here, welcome in. I'm Clint. I'll be your host. Happy whatever number of episodes this is that you've listened to if you're not new here, because believe it or not, you're actually part of an ongoing scientific study to see if listening to this show helps regrow brain cells. It's not going well, but thanks for sticking around. Returning listeners will also know that around here we are mead fans, and not just any mead. Give us Brimming Horn Meadery or give us fucking death. And to get it, you go to brimminghornmeadery.com, pick out some award-winning and delicious mead. Then at checkout, you use code EPITOMEAD, that's EPITOMEAD, and get a 10% discount on your order. They'll ship all that deliciousness right to your fucking door. And then it's yours to enjoy. Link to their shop in the show description, along with the band and podcast links, as per usual. And as I was saying that, I got to thinking, I wonder if you were there in Delaware, where they are, and you went to the counter with some bottles of deliciousness and just shouted Epitome at the cashier, what would happen? If anybody does that, let me know. That would be funny. Anywho, what I'm listening to recently. As of now, I still wake up daily with something from that new Huntsman, The Dry Land, stuck in my head, so most of my days start with that. If you didn't hear the last episode with Mark of the band, you should check it out. Good stuff all the way around. Other than that, I've been happily enjoying tons of Hippotraktor and all the cool ways they are making heavy music enjoyable in kind of different ways. Other than that, I mixed in some STP's Purple to celebrate the anniversary. More of that new Vow album, Umbilical, fucking heavy. Some Russian Circles, and that new Omnific album, because, boy, if you like bass, those guys are fucking good at it. Moving on and back to Hippotraktor. If you've been around this show long enough to remember my buddy Brian, he actually brought them to my attention a couple years ago. And the time since then, they've stayed on my radar, and I've turned them on here and there. But earlier this year, I turned on their first album, Meridian, and it hit me at just the right way at just the right time, and gave me all the fucking hell yes. And I left it on repeat for half the damn day, probably every day that week. For me, they do a really good job of being heavy, maybe even genty, but again, if you've been around for a while, I struggle with that term, in ways that are just different enough to make them stand out without sounding like they're trying desperately to be different and stand out. They're also clearly great fucking musicians, but again, the songs don't come across as them trying to show off how great they are. They were originally a 3-piece instrumental band out of Belgium, but before completing their first album, again, Meridian, they add not one, but 2 singers. And even as someone who loves instrumental stuff, as I am, I'm going to go ahead and say that they made the right call there. That's probably enough of me rambling, right? Let's maybe talk about them and, well, them, with them. Oh, and if it works out the way I think it's supposed to, this show might be a little shorter than usual. I'll be interested in any feedback you guys might have as to whether shorter ends up being better or worse, the same, magical, scientific, even fucking noticeable at all. So note that. Some phone sound, go. Beep, 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 beep. Ring. And he answered. On the line with me today is Chiaran of Hippotraktor. Chiaran, how the hell are you today?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
I like to start these conversations with a pretty simple, standard type. What are you listening to lately?
I'm listening to Vulcan I forgot the name of the record I'm listening to. It's called Technotura. I just checked it. So if you've ever heard of it, I think it's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And besides this, I'm a lot of Herod.
Yeah,
Not
they
sure
are
how to
fucking
pronounce it.
awesome, man.
Yeah, man, that's it's my jam. I really love those guys. Yeah, it's awesome.
I didn't listen to that newest album of theirs until way late in the year last year, but by the time I pushed play on it, I couldn't leave it alone. It's so fucking heavy.
Dude, it's awesome. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, they are great. So a lot of people recently are listening to the new Hippotraktor album, Stasis.
Yeah.
Leading up to it, you guys released, what, 3 singles, building up to?
Correct.
In that time, what have the reactions been? Were you surprised at the reaction to a particular song, the overall album? Has anything really stood out to you?
It's been great, actually. Yeah, I was very anxious, to be honest with you.
Yeah?
It's our second album. You've got this second album syndrome thing where, man, are they one-trick ponies or can they pull
Right.
it off again? So I was anxious, but it's been great. I've only read and heard great things. And if there are people for some reason doubting what we're doing or doubting certain aspects of it, it's funny. The same things I was anxious about are actually being said as well. So
Really?
it's not an easy record, and I was scared that it would be hard for people to get into, and I've heard it isn't the easiest record to get into. That being said, everyone who's been telling me it's hard most of them have been telling me as well that after they've put in the time, they actually love it even more. So
Sure.
I guess that's a great thing. Yeah, good things take a while, I guess.
Right. The one of those things where, like, I know, speaking for myself, the first time I listened to it, it's not like there's some standout super catchy radio song or anything like that where you want to go back and hear that chorus, but there's all these great riffs and all these great parts and everything. So it's just like, I don't know that it's, like, I understand the whole hard to digest the whole thing at once because it's a big damn thing to digest, but it's like, I've never really listened to it, to be completely honest and telling you something maybe I shouldn't tell you. I didn't really listen to the singles leading up to it because I knew based on the last album, it was probably going to be a whole album experience. And so I waited on that, and I feel like I did the right thing there. It was well worth it.
Great. Yeah. I'm happy to hear. Yeah.
I know it tells a little bit of a story, and from what I've seen about the overarching theme and the story, I really fucking loved it. I considered trying to lay the outline of it in my kind of lead up to actually talking with you, but figure it's probably better explained through the source. So you want to tell us about the story and theme of the album?
Yeah, sure. If I were to put it in one word, it would be impunity. So maybe I watched too many shitty documentaries. I'm not sure, but yeah, there's this overall feeling I was having of just the way we structure our society not being right or not being, and well, being right is such a hard thing to say, but I think I was feeling a bit left alone, maybe a bit misunderstood, maybe, especially as an artist. It's very hard to make a living.
Right.
It's very hard to do these things. It's very hard, even especially in our stage of being a band. It's so hard to combine having multiple jobs with going to venues and play and going to different countries and stuff. So I think a lot of us have been struggling with the fact that it's hard being a grown-up and a musician at the same time. Oh man, and especially for me, it hit me hard after releasing Meridian. If I'm honest with you, I would be one of those guys where it would be perfectly okay for me to not have a job, not do anything but create things, and I would be perfectly fine with filling my own agenda. So
Sure.
that's something I wish I could do, and I just can't. And I know it's a very first world problem, but I don't like most of the things I have to do to get by. And well, speaking from experience, that was the main trigger for me to go into this impunity kind of thing. And then um, I think the documentary part is also true, where I just watched a lot of stuff about how our financial systems work, and I'm like, if it feels to me as if we're promoting this thing of where the rich get richer and not so rich like myself
Right.
get even less rich. So yeah, that was for me the start of everything, and I told my story to Stefan, the one who writes all the lyrics and makes a bigger story out of it, and he was totally on board, and then decided he wanted to build on what we did with Meridian, where we had this protagonist being a lone being in a world without humans, and then in Stasis, this protagonist would discover humanity with all of its
Right.
perks and flaws. So that's in a nutshell what we made, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, it's and some of the themes that in finding humanity, the protagonist, some of the themes that he has to deal with and like find his way around. As I was reading through it, it's all very, kind of. I want a better word than futuristic, but it's the only one I can come to get to my brain. It's all very futuristic-ish, but also very relatable, and that these are things like every day I discover a new asshole and I have to get my head around it. And
I mean, that's really in a nutshell what I was trying to say. Like this new asshole, and how, my God, how do I cope with these things, man? I write nasty music because of it. Maybe that's a good thing, but holy shit, it's hard. It's hard. I have no answers, only questions, and that's what this album is about, I think.
it's the music certainly helps kind of relay the frustration there in all the best fucking ways. And with that in mind, like when you know that you've got a story lyrically, vocally to go with the music, does it affect how you're writing? Do you have to, like, I know this part of the story is going to be a little more somber, so I've got to pull it back and kind of build up into some big break or something like that. Does it make you think about things from a different angle?
I don't think so, no. I usually just start with a general feeling of something, and then build upon this, and then the story comes after. So especially because I just write instrumentals, and then it goes to Stefan, who makes a story out of it. So I'm when I'm starting with this general feeling, really the canvas is blank and I can do whatever the fuck I want.
Nice.
Which is great because this way I usually just have a couple of themes I want to put into the song, and then it's a matter of trying to connect these and making the story click. And with the story, I mean, it might go a bit ethereal, but every piece of music has this energetic arc, I'd say, where you wanna keep your listener engaged, and you have to keep this balance in energy correct, or otherwise you're gonna lose people.
Sure.
So what I'm trying to do anytime I write anything really is trying to match my ideas and make sure the energy arc is correct, so that I'm not losing too many people. So I think with Stasis, if we're losing people, it's because they don't like the music or because they, yeah, I think it's maybe a more general thing. If they just don't like the kind of atmospheres we're coming up with, then I guess that's totally fine.
Sure.
But I would hate it if people were to say, yeah, I just you're losing me with this verse, or the energy is not correct, or it's boring me. I don't think we're boring. And
Yeah.
that's
I was gonna say I don't think you're gonna get that one a lot.
yeah, that was my biggest fear, to be honest, when writing. I don't want to be boring, so I guess I overdid it on that part a bit. But
I wouldn't say that, but sure, I get your point there. The you speak of starting writing these things as instrumentals, and if I understand everything right, this would be the first album fully written as a 5-piece. Whereas I think with the first album, you had most of the songs written, and then the vocalist came on board. How was that
yeah,
process different?
well, not really different actually. I still wrote the same things. The only difference was now I was writing for specific people, and I knew what we could and couldn't do. So um, I, but that's the same thing with Meridian actually. When we first started as a instrumental 3-piece, I wrote, but really I wrote whatever I wanted, and then it was like, okay, and all these guitars go into the backing track. But funnily enough, we only played one show, and it was in a shitty rehearsal space for a couple of friends. So that was the only show we ever did. And then the backing track things were just too much of a hassle. I really hated it, and I kind of lost the sense that we're playing music. It was all like to a click and it was so pre-programmed that I lost the feeling with musicality, if that makes sense. So
Sure, it kind of loses the soul of it.
Yeah, I just wanted to quit, if I'm honest. And then I told Stefan, fuck this shit, I'm done with it. And then he was like, no, dude, I'll join. And I thought he was joking, but he wasn't. And then I was like, okay, but if you're joining, I want another guitar player as well, so like we can ditch the backing track entirely. And that was the moment where I started writing for 5 people, for 2 guitars, a bass, drums, and 2 vocalists. And with Stasis, it's just been a continuation of this process where I try to write things for this ensemble, so to speak. The only thing I noticed, that's maybe something I was afraid of at first. I wrote things, and then I got so lost in the compositions that I would layer and layer things. Where if you keep layering things, they'll sound massive, sure, but how are you gonna pull this off live?
Sure.
And that's something that there's so much production on the entire album, and I wrote it this way. Like the guitars you're hearing on the album are actually my demos. I just tried to write and play at the same time as good as I could. But this also meant I wasn't sure if it was gonna work live at all. I just wrote it the way I wanted it to be, and that's something I noticed now. All right, my songwriting is good enough that we can pull it off with only 5 people, and it live totally works. But it was a question mark for a long time. Sure.
It's always interesting to me to ask people about, where is the line with all the layers? Where is the line where this song has not enough going on, so we're going to add some layers for the guitar, or maybe we make a more interesting bass part, or maybe there's fucking trumpets or something. Just, where is the line between boring and, interesting being where you want it to be, and too fucking much somewhere else? And it sounds like you kind of swim in those waters as well.
Yeah, it's always a pain, man.
I believe
it never stops.
The you guys' sound, it's very, I don't know, modern. I don't want to use futuristic again, since I already half-assed used that earlier, but it's very, it's not This doesn't sound like classic Riot, obviously. And the Stasis sounds like a clear jump from Meridian, where things are moving forward. Is that like a conscious thing? How do you keep moving this? For lack of a smarter way of better adjective here, how do you move this already futuristic sound forward?
I have no fucking idea. I just think I have to stay true to myself and to the things I want to try and explore. Since if I were to write to achieve only one thing, and that's fame or anything, then I'm doing it for the wrong reasons.
Sure.
And I think you as a listener, you'll hear this, and I'm trying to steer clear of the whole I'm gonna write pop songs. I just want to do something interesting to me. And with Meridian, I certainly wrote the things I wanted to write, and with Stasis, it's I'd say it was even more of a fuck you to my band members and being like, screw you guys, and I'm doing whatever the fuck I want. So that's something with Meridian, I wrote for my band and especially for the drummer and the bass player, because I knew they like certain things and they dislike others, and I wanted to make something they wanted to play. With Stasis, I it's a big fuck you. Yeah. I'm just like, you're not gonna like this, and I know you're gonna hate it even, but fuck it, I'm just gonna do it.
Sure.
And it's fun to see how I was right. they hated certain things, but it's also interesting to see how, because I make demos, of course, and I play these demos to them, and I always played the demos to them when I was in the same room, because I wanted to see the look in their faces.
Reaction. Sure.
It tells you so much about songwriting, and if something's not working or anything. So I did this. I played these things for them. I watched them, and it's always fun. It's been fun because at first usually they were like, holy shit, this is cool, yeah, let's do it. And then they had to learn the parts. And they were like, the fuck is this shit? So it's been a very, very tricky record to get right in the studio. But now when we're playing these live, we've gotten to the point where everyone's like, we're in control. We got this. We can do this. We can really get the feeling going, and that's when the audience gives you something back. So
fuck yeah. Who struggled the most?
I think we all struggled in our own ways with different things. So I wouldn't say there was anyone lacking the most. So.
Which song was the hardest?
Again, different for every one of us. Since I played my guitars when I was writing, I don't really remember, but I can tell you the hardest song to write was Stasis by far. At the time, I didn't know it was gonna be the title track, but oh my god, what a pain! And I have to say, the entire album, it wasn't fun. It was not fun to write. And that's something very liberating, because I think I just finished or almost finished the first song of the new album, like maybe a half an hour ago.
No shit.
Yeah, I'm serious.
No time off for you, huh?
The session's open at the moment, so and it's very fun writing for the new album, because with Stasis, I have tried to compress so many ideas into single songs, and of course these songs get to the 8-minute mark sometimes, but I feel liberated in the fact that I can write simpler things now. I've proven that I can do the most idiotic things. So now I just want to, and that's again difficult, but I want to go back to basics and see if I can make things that are where you can go back to a song because you've heard the chorus and you're like, shit, I want to hear the
Right,
chorus
right,
again.
right.
So, but it's hard because then your chorus has to be good, and with the compositions I've made with Stasis, it's like you get a pass because they're so complicated that even if there's a shitty part, it'll be done in a few seconds anyway. So.
Sure. Because they're not exactly cut, copy, paste songs. It's not verse, chorus, breakdown, outro.
No. Oh my God. Every bar is different. Every freaking bar. Like, why?
It's like, to your credit, it's funny that you lament it because you've clearly put a lot of heart and soul into it. And while every bar or every piece or every change is different, they've all got, like, you can tell that your whole I wrote it down here, the making sure that the energy matches the feel and all that stuff. You know, I would have never thought about that sentence previous to you saying it, let alone in conjunction with any fucking thing, because I would have never thought of the sentence. But now that you say that, like, and thinking through the songs as you're talking, I can totally get that. Where, yeah, sure, it's changing, but it feels the same through the whole thing, as something's building, or as something's breaking, or as something's, you know.
Yeah.
It's so it comes through. It's clear that you put a lot into it, and you know, people like me get the fucking benefit for it.
It's great to hear. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
awesome.
Man. So real quick, there's a couple other things I want to touch on, but before we get out of the whole writing process, or live things for that matter. So you mentioned bringing Stefan on.
Right.
I assume you've seen him live in his other band previously, but especially with your stuff, do you ever look at him when he goes from those clean singing things to sounding like a fucking human eruption and wonder how the hell his head isn't exploding?
No, not really. I've known the guy for so long that I'm so used to it by now. It's funny, like, it's the same with our drummer. He is a human eruption in a totally different way, but this guy, I don't know, he can play 64th notes. Like, what the fuck?
Right.
Yeah, I've gotten so used to him going blah, 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 that it's nothing new to me. So it's all good. Yeah, he's doing his thing, and I'm just trying to get the one right whenever he decides to finish his fill. So with Stefan, it's the same thing. I mean, we were kids together. Like, I grew up with him.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, I think I was maybe 11 when I got to know him. So at that time, he was twice as big as me. So yeah, I would never have thought that I would play in the same band, because he was this role model for me. He was in a bigger band with the bigger boys playing bigger things.
Sure.
He was the first one who told me, like, dude, you gotta get an interface and you gotta record yourself. And I was like, what? Record myself? Sure. And I did, and now I'm an audio engineer, so he kind of made me, I think.
Nice.
So no, he doesn't surprise me with his singing. Not really.
Some of that shit is nuts, man. And like, I had a minor follow up about the drummer too, because he's certainly no fucking slouch either. It's you guys are, like, in my lead up to actually talking with you, I was kind of rambling about how your music comes across as people who are clearly really fucking good at their instruments, but don't feel like they have to show off to you in, you know, all the widdly, solo-y fashions that are, you know, that are expected in that realm. So yeah, I assume everybody there has to be able to keep up. I'm going to ask the question that I know you've been asked 1,000 times, and I know your answer to it, so I'm going to try to ask it differently. How did I've heard you say that you still don't know what a Hippotraktor is. So where the hell did it come from, and what's the most amusing interpretation of it you've heard so far?
Oh, God. Well, it came from. So we have this merry gang of musicians here back in Belgium, where we all know each other and we play in different bands. So that's Psychonaut and Potamus as well, and Lich. So we're all connected through music, and it's funny because we have crossovers with people, and it's fun from Psychonaut and joining Hippotraktor. It's like
Sure.
it's yeah, it's this own universe where things are colliding and stuff grows from it. So we had this idea of, and I don't even remember who came up with this name, but we had this idea of one day we're all gonna come together and start a DJ collective, and we'll call it Hippotraktor because it's a dumb name and we're dumb, so let's do it. And then I had a new band, and I was like, "Fuck, this same horrendous question. Like, what's the name of my band going to be?"
It's the worst, man.
Oh God! And there was this thing where I used to play in a band that's long gone by now, and we had a name, and I was always kind of embarrassed to tell you what my band name was. So if people were asking like, "What's your band called?" I'd be kind of hesitant to say, and I was like, "No, not again. I'm just gonna pick something stupid where I'm like, fuck it. Like, it's a stupid name. Like, band names are stupid. Fuck it." So that's when I decided I'm just gonna steal the Hippotraktor thing.
Yeah.
Let's do it. And yeah, I remember telling the guys like I have the perfect band name for us, and they were all like, "You got to be kidding, right? You're not serious." And I was like, "I'm absolutely serious. Have you heard of the Foo Fighters? Like they got it right. They got it absolutely right because there's no good band name. It just does not exist. So let's just embrace." And then also because I know I can't write funny music. There's something I want to write about nasty and things close to me where I struggle with things, and I always end up making very serious music. So I was like, okay, let's pick a band name that totally does not reflect what we're doing. Because otherwise you get this thing where it's very serious music with a very serious
you've
name,
got
and
the
it kind of
expectation.
on itself. Yeah. I'm usually when I have a very serious band name, I'm like, yeah, sure, they're gonna be all like dramatic, and we're gonna do it the wrong way.
Oh, you're so metal.
Yeah, especially you're so metal, and I was like, okay, if I want to make a funk record, I'm gonna make a funk record. Fuck you. So yeah, that's basically the history of our band name.
That is so much better than I could have even fucking hoped for.
As for interpretations, I like Stefan's interpretation the most because, stupid as our band name is, I think it also kind of connects with what we're doing. So a hippo is this huge thing where I'm really afraid if it's too close to me. Like,
sure.
Have you seen it?
They're not small.
They're not small. They'll kill you. So you have this hippo thing, and then you have a tractor. Same thing. If it runs you over, you're dead. And this kind of machine organic combination thing, it could be something really. What's the correct term? It something larger than life, something massive, yeah, something with more to it than you'd expect when seeing it. So Stefan's always talking about the Hippotraktor being the protagonist.
Okay.
Embodiment of that. Yeah, well, it's a whole lot of bullshit, but you get like this way of thinking about it, and I can see it. I can see it. It's also fun because having such a stupid name, people really get into it. And like we played our release show, and there were two guys with a hippo suit with a tractor on it. Like seriously, holy shit! You guys put effort into this.
That
This
is
is awesome.
Fucking
Oh my god!
great.
And you immediately know like they're here for us, so that's awesome. And we also
Right,
played
those
a
guys aren't
show-
there for the Foo Fighters.
No, no. When we played our dungeon the first time in the UK, there were guys who they actually came to make fun of us, like you guys with your stupid name, and they hadn't heard any of our music, so they also put on this hippo suit, and they had like a sign with tractors, and they came and they were like, holy shit, these guys can play. And then they were like, we converted them, man.
Nice.
Awesome.
Fucking success
So,
story.
Yeah, it really was. These guys, well, they were also very drunk, but part of the fun, I guess.
I've only got two more things for you here, and then I'll do my couple silly things, and I'll let you get back to your. I'll let you get back to your night, right? You're in Belgium. What time is it there?
At the moment, 22:30.
22:30.
Yeah.
Who are your influences? How'd you get started on the guitar?
Oh God. Well, the classics. So that's a very boring answer, but I think the first record I ever bought was Elvis.
Nice.
And then the second one was Green Day. So, well, less nice maybe, but still, I think they're great musicians. So, well, first Green Day, and then yeah, I was actually a friend who kept feeding me these progressively darker things.
Right.
So I got into it with Green Day, and then after it was Metallica, but Metallica was at first too dark for me, so it took a while before I really understood how interesting it was. And then I mean, I think first record I bought from Metallica was Master of Puppets. And then after it, yeah, it kind of progressed to Korn, Slipknot,
Sure.
all these kind of things, but still very mainstream. And then the Tool came after, and then I think my biggest influence to date is probably Porcupine Tree.
Oh, really?
Which is something totally different.
Yeah.
Even Wilson, I'm still a big fan. Like, I kind of, and I mean, totally no disrespect, but I kind of outgrew the whole Metallica thing, and Green Day as well. So I don't really listen to these bands anymore, except for nostalgia, maybe. Korn, I do still like some of those songs, sure. Slipknot as well. But yeah, I really dig the musicianship and the sort of crazy things you get from progressive rock.
Yeah.
So yeah, Porcupine Tree, man.
I
That's
would
the
not have
jam.
guessed that. Yeah. So how did that the record release show was the night of the record release, right? How'd that show go?
That was the greatest. Like you see a whole wide array of different kind of audiences when you're a band of our size.
Sure.
It's very interesting. Some shows you know from the start, like, holy shit, this one's gonna be a difficult one because we've got to convince them we're cool.
Right.
So and usually this works out. So happy about that, to be honest. But this show was a home match. Like you come on stage and you know, like, yeah, this is gonna be easy.
You've already
People
got a couple
are-
point lead.
People are psyched.
Right.
People want us to play, and most shows we play are not so psyched. So
Sure.
I'm. This one was fun. It was fun. It was liberating. It was everything you dream of before you ever play shows. Like, this is the reason you get into it, just to connect with the audience, just to connect with the music, and to, yeah, in a way, maybe get away from how boring this life sometimes is, and
Sure.
how not so boring it is, but how
Mundane.
unpleasant life can be, mundane as well. So yeah, man, that show. That's why I'm playing. That's why I'm doing all this stupid stuff. That's why I'm putting in so many time, effort, hours of my life, never ever getting paid for it. Like, I just gotta do this.
Right.
I have to. So, a very rewarding thing. Sure.
That's
yeah.
fucking awesome, man. Are there any larger touring plans?
We're touring with Sugar Horse, and I always.
Oh yeah, that's right. I saw
mess
that.
up the name. Yeah, I'm not sure. In Dutch, we say "pan," which means pain, but I'm not sure.
It's
how you pronounce it. Maybe
I think it's pen. You know what?
Pen?
I'm gonna make myself sound stupid, and I don't need help doing that, so I'm gonna leave it alone for now. But yeah, I saw that because I've talked to Sugar Horse or their representation or whatever a couple times about having them on the show when that album comes out. They're fucking awesome.
Right. Sure, yeah, and they're nice guys as well. So I'm very much looking forward to hitting the road with them and seeing some places. Yeah,
Hell
it's
yeah,
gonna
man.
be awesome.
Well, if you ever make it across the ocean there, I would love to have you here in Columbus, and I'm sure that I wouldn't be the only one. But good luck.
Yeah, sure.
Good luck with sorting the fucking logistics out with all that.
That being said, though, let me grab a quick look at the Spotify artists. But the U.S. is our biggest country, I think, in terms of plays.
Really?
Yeah. United States, even. Oh God. Like in Belgium. So I'm looking at the top countries in the past 28 days. So Belgium is number 2 with 2,900 listeners, and the United States is above that on the first place with 3,800. So yeah, you guys beat Belgium. That being said, Belgium is like tiny compared to the US. But it's always been the United States has our biggest fan base, apparently.
Hell yeah.
So I'm hoping we could make the trip, although it's so incredibly expensive.
Right.
It might be a couple of years. But,
with no end in sight for the fucking expensive shit.
yeah.
Just because you mentioned it there, how much attention do you pay to Spotify stats or streaming stats in general?
Oh God, I really don't want to, but it's a thing.
Sure.
That's the only sort of tangible thing I have to seeing how well we're doing at the moment. So, and even then, it doesn't really mean anything because it could be people who just, stumble upon us and then listen to one song and then never hear us again.
Sure.
So, not sure, but I've noticed there's people in the industry as well, like actually looking at these plays and being like, if you've got a lot of plays, a lot of listeners, then you're an actual thing. I talked to this promoter who told me, yeah, if you have anything less than 50,000 monthly listeners, you're not really connecting with anything. And I'm like, holy shit, we're a ways off from 50,000 monthly listeners, but yeah, we all, especially at the start of your release, we're looking at it, and for now, it's fun because our numbers have never been higher. So,
sure.
Thank you for listening, everyone. That's awesome.
Chiaran, you've been fucking great, man. This has been a lot of fun. I've got a couple silly ass questions for you here, and then I'll let you get back to your night and get back to writing LP number 3. It sounds like. We'll do a couple rapid fire questions here. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
What's something you could eat for a week straight?
Pasta.
Okay. I wasn't going to ask you this, but because of the whole Elvis, Green Day, weird musical things, I guess I will. Beatles or Stones?
Beatles.
Okay. If you could ask one animal one question, what's the animal and what's the question? I feel like there's an easy one here.
Yeah. I would ask a hippo what a tractor is.
Oh man, beer or liquor?
Belgian beer.
Belgian beer.
Not
I just
it's
finished a
German.
6-pack of Belgian beer the other day.
Oh, there we go.
If you had a superpower, what would it be?
Flying.
Okay. Go-to karaoke song.
Oh, that's a difficult one. I can't sing for shit, so maybe something Britney Spears. I don't know. Oops, I did it again. Let's go.
There you go. I would fucking pay money to see that. Last one here. Sausage, links, or patties?
I'm not sure what you just said. Can you repeat that, please?
Sausage, links, or patties?
I don't even.
I know. I gotta stop asking this for European people. It's just the, you know what, we're gonna skip it all together. So if now I feel like I gotta explain it. It's just like the round sausage or the long sausage.
The round sausage or the long? You got a long sausage and a round one? What the fuck?
Oh damn it, man! This has been so much more fun than I expected it to be.
I gotta come to the U.S. and then you explain it to me, and we'll have to.
Okay, we'll do that. We'll do that. I will serve you a plate of sausage, and I can't fucking believe that's a sentence I just fucking said.
Oh, please do, yeah.
Okay, all right, man. Last question here. You, Chiaran of Hippotraktor, you get sent to an island by yourself. You get to take one album with you for the rest of your life. What's that album?
In Absentia by Porcupine Tree.
There we go. I can tie it all together there.
Yeah.
I'm not going to keep you any longer, man. Enjoy the rest of your night. This has been a fuck ton of fun. Good luck with the touring and all that. The album is great. I don't give a shit what anybody says about anything. And can't wait to the album 3 or seeing you in the U.S., man.
Clint, you're awesome. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, man.
See you soon.
See ya.
See ya.
Holy shit. Okay, so how do you follow that? Like I said before, Chiaran joined me there. It was intended for this to be a little bit shorter based on some time constraint things, but we got to bullshitting and, shit. It was just a stupid amount of fun. Thanks so much to him for the fun conversation, let alone all the great tunage. And again, I legit think that they are a band that are going to be huge, probably like 10 fucking minutes from now. So get on board now so you can shake your finger at people in a year and tell them about how you were into them before they blew up. Kind of like I fucking would, if we're being honest. Or not, and I'm fucking going to, too. Thanks as always to the Brimming Horn dudes for partnering with the show as well as for making that delicious mead. Thanks to Liz with Earsplit for helping put all this together. For you Columbus folks, as of today, what is it, June 12th, I think? It was announced that we're partnering with Blockout Bash. Thanks to Joel for having us on board with that. There'll be some links to that in the description here and more to come. Wherever you're listening to this from, I'd really think it was fucking cool if you hit the old subscribe button there. And that way, these things will come right to your streaming box. I don't know how to say this. You know how the subscribe button works, so you don't need me to fucking explain it. Give us a review or stars or whatever is available there. You'll find links that is, for all of the show's socials as well as Hippotraktor's socials. So do us all a solid and give a follow. Now, let's hear some more of that Hippotraktor goodness. Yeah, I will give you just a second to turn your volume up as loud as fucking possible. And now that you've done that, here comes Hippotraktor's Renegade in full, ready, set,